Okay, my topic today is basically documenting food systems using digital stories. The students are fourth year human ecology students, and in our department we have a full computer lab, so the students don't lack any computer facilities. And then we all know that students have their own laptops and their iPads and their tablets as well as cell phones, and their cell phones are quite good quality because a lot of them have cameras on their cell phones. So basically, digital storytelling is using a movie where you add narratives and music to it as well as photographs, and then the aim of the digital story was for them to document the food systems in their community. So that to look at, for example, production of food in the community, the distribution, that to look at acquisition, consumption, and the waste disposal of food in their communities. And that's linked to a bigger area, which is then called community food assessment. The learning intervention, what I used to do is, it used to be a written assignment with an asset map. And what I found out was that the students didn't reflect on their community. They just used to go out, write the information down and hand in the assignment. And then I thought, how can I get them to engage more in the community? And then the students for this particular year also requested, they said, can't we do something different than just a written assignment, because all our assignments are paper-based. And then I decided, okay, the digital story is a good idea because they need to then take photographs of the community, and they need to sort of determine what kind of photos they want to take and what they want to sort of document about their community. Then with that, I then gave them a very detailed outline for the assignment, what was expected of them. And then I also developed a very detailed rubric. So it would give them clear guidelines as to what was expected of the assignment. So the assignment looked, for example, at things about what was the presentation of the digital story, the quality of the photos, the quality of the narratives, and then also the music that is related to the story. And then also with Norina's help, we had a 1.5 hour training session about digital stories in our computer lab. And there's a free program on the internet called Photo Story 3 for Windows, which you can download free of charge. And students then did that, and we then had the training. Also, just in terms of the digital story, what was important is the quality of the photos. Because what we did was, we didn't have a pre-run. So when we did the digital story, they then realized that the photographs weren't good. And when they do it on the laptops, the sound sounds very good. But when we play it in a big venue, it's then soft. So we then had to have a rerun of the stories, and then at that time they then improved their photos and also improved the music and the quality of their stories. So the students, what it did for them is that it increased the awareness of the food systems in the community. They also expressed excitement about the digital stories, and I kept on telling them, you cannot do this the day before, because you need to take the photographs and you need to crop it and set up the digital story. And so when they started working on it, they actually realized that it's actually quite stressful, because a lot of the students are not based in the Western or in Cape Town. Some of them are based in Vredendal, some of them in Atlantis. And so what they had to do is they had to go home and then take their photos and then come back. So what I did was, it was a first semester module, so I gave it to them in the first term, so during their holidays, they could then go home and then take photos of their community. Then also, they indicated that even though it was exciting, it was time consuming, because they had to go and walk around in the community. And what I did was, in the assignment, I gave them I said that you only need to document a 5 kilometer radius of your community, because I thought if it's like 10, they then would need cars to then go around in the community. So 5 kilometers, they could then walk around in the community. Some of them didn't enjoy the assignment because they said it was too time consuming, and some of them found it stressful. And then also a lot of them enjoyed it above a paper-based assignment. My reflection was that in terms of the actual story, that the music, they are so taken by the music, that the music overshadowed the story at times, okay? Also that there's quite a lot of steps to the digital story. So what I could do then to help them is to actually give them a timeline. So say, look, in the first week you then bring the photographs. In the second week you develop the narratives. And that to sort of assist them to make it less stressful. Then also what I did was, because it's the last cohort of our students, there were only 9, so I let them do it individually, okay? But what I did find out was that it would be better to do it in group work or in pairs. So it would minimize my marking and also minimize the stress on the students as well. I did find that it definitely did increase the engagement with the content of the module, because that was actually the main aim of the assignment, to increase the engagement with the content. And then also that the students need to take note of the kind of photos they're going to take, the kind of music. And that is why I kept on harping, it's not a last-minute exercise, like a paper-based assignment, because you need to put very careful thought into what you're going to put into your story. Then also the assignment allows them to take note of their own community, because normally they just walk around and not take note of what is in the community. And what I also realized is that a lot of our communities, because the topic is linked to food security, that a lot of our communities are food secure, but it's the access to the food that is a problem. It's not that there isn't food available in the communities. And then also that it allows some students to be creative in terms of the photos and the music and the narratives that they used. Then in terms of the recommendations, what I did was for this year was I did all the marking of the digital stories. But I thought if I do it again, is to let them peer assess each other. So bring the rubric to the class, because what we did was we had one session where everybody then showed their digital stories to each other, and then let the students assess each other's stories instead of just me doing all the marking. And then what I would do in future is also to let students get training on how to take photographs, because I found that was lacking in some of these stories. Their photographs weren't of a good quality. And also then how to select music. And then also what is important, what I found out was that they think it's a story or movie, that the language and the spelling is not important. So that we bring that also in, that we tell them that the language and the spelling is still important, even though it's a movie. So I'm just going to, for me it was a positive experience, so it's something I will do again. Actually last year I did it with dietetic students, and this year I'm going to do it with them again. So I will keep it as an assessment tool. And then I just want to show you, this is just an edited version of one of the stories that the students did.
In this digital presentation, we will conduct a community food assessment and explore the types of food resources and assets within the Matroosfontein community, situated less than 4 kilometers from the Cape Town International Airport. The data which has been collected in this community will be classified into the various components of a food system, which comprises of food production, food processing, food distribution, food consumption, and recycling of food waste. Matroosfontein is close to the well-known suburbs such as Bonteheuwel, Baloa, and Parow-Industrie. The modes of transport used in Matroosfontein and the larger Alsies River area include trains, which of course allow the local residents to travel longer distances. There are also buses which run through the Matroosfontein area. However, this is a less popular mode of transport used by the local residents. This is due to the fact that bus arrival times are spaced far apart, and people often have to wait extremely long for the bus to come. The most viable transport system, second to using one's personal car, would be the taxi system running through Matroosfontein area. This is due to its ease of access and accessibility, and the convenience of collecting people at desired points and dropping them extremely close to store. trucks collect food from factories and warehouses nearby and deliver them to the local stores. County Fair is an example of a food distributor in close radius of the Matroosfontein area, since after the processing stage, the company distributes the chicken and chicken products to various outlets.
Okay, so that's just one of the stories that the students did. Thank you very much.
Comments for Liezl? Question?
I just wanted to ask about the ethics of taking photographs and then what you do with the videos.
What I told the students was not to take photographs of any people. So just to take photographs of buildings or structures. I know that there is an ethical dilemma about that. Yeah.
How long is each digital story and how long does it take to mark them?
Well, I gave them a time of about 2 minutes. This one here was 13 minutes long, so that is why I cut it. It takes probably between 10 to 15 minutes because every time I need to go back and look at certain aspects of the story. So it could take between 15 and 20 minutes to mark the story.
For a 2-minute one?
Yes.
Yes, thank you, Liezl. It's really interesting. I wanted to ask you, you talked about a timeline for getting, for the production of the whole digital story, and did that have to displace other content? I mean, how did you fit everything in? Because if you're spending time with the students, helping them put their story together stage by stage over the semester.
No, actually, I didn't do that, but I said that is what I should do. Okay, but that would be in their own time and in my own time. So I wouldn't allow that process to infringe on other levels.
So it would be an additional contact period, I suppose.
It seems to me that there are two key outcomes. The one is that they need to be understanding the food processing that whole story. And the other is that they need to learn how to do a digital story. And my question is, to what extent is it possible that for some students, the focus in their learning is more on the digital story, putting together stuff, and so you lose on what it is that they're learning in terms of the content. And I suppose what's floating in my head is, in the world of academia, reading and writing is really crucial. Well, at the moment, PhDs don't happen through digital stories, so we have to push for that. And if they do a written piece, then you're developing a scholarly skill as opposed to a technological skill. And I'm saying that with all due respect to everyone, I'm really not being on the world of academia, but yeah, so I'm putting it out there as a devil's advocate.
Actually, in terms of the story, I actually found that there were, in some stories, weren't as strong as this was actually one of the best, and this content came through quite well. So in future, what I have to do is then put more emphasis in the rubric on the content as well, so that comes through strongly. But this is just for one assignment. The other assignment in the module is written as well, so I try to balance the
Can I just make one comment on that? Because I think you've asked, that's the key question. I was telling a colleague who works at a university in Europe about this, what we were doing with blogging, and he asked exactly that question, but surely it's more important for them to write essays. And I don't know the answers, but just the thought would be this, that one's told that nowadays that the way we learn with our brains, they actually need multiple stimulation, and they do need visual stimulation, so that, that's perhaps what you're right, but one of the downsides of all this writing is maybe not that much is actually retained. So maybe, I don't know how we can get around this, but I really,
I wanted to ask how do you balance the assessment, the content versus the presentation? Is there more emphasis on the presentation?
What I do in terms of mark allocation, I try to, say if the assignment is out of 100, for example, I try to put more emphasis on the content. I say maybe the content is out of 30 or 40 marks, and the actual story is out of the various sections out of 10 marks, for example. That is how I try to balance the theory with the story.
And what do you find? What did you find? Because I mean, students, I mean, it's assessment that I've asked students
Yes.
to do. So if the presentation, if you give very few marks for that, they will concentrate. They want, the presentation, they don't take so much notice.
What I found was because the digital story had to focus on the content. So there's a two actually bring it down because if you give a good digital story, then the content also didn't come through correctly.
Thank you very much. Thank you.